waiting is over and we're about to see if there will be a new best-selling car in the world ever on its way for 2025 or 2026, or maybe both. They've launched and released the Tesla Model Y refresh in China and Asia amid a storm of initial orders, and word now is that production has started in Giga Berlin for a launch and release in Q2 2025, maybe as soon as 3 or 4 months away. Why all the hype? I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On, and this is your What's New guide to the just launched Tesla Model Y refresh launch model. Now, I'll make no recommendations here about appearance, as that's very much a matter of taste. My taste may be very different to yours, so please don't take my word for it. Don't use photographs or videos to judge. Get out and see it for yourself. Once it's launched in your country, it will be in all the showrooms, so just go and visit. My own initial thoughts from seeing and driving many of the previous models and comparing them to the photographs and videos of this one are that I love the Model S. Didn't much like the Model Y, the old one. I much preferred the Model 3. The refresh Y is much more Chinese looking and I prefer that look. Well, time will tell if that lasts when I see it in the metal, but the differences are stark. Oh, so where do we start? Well, let's get the obvious out of the way. Dimensions. It's grown and it's lost a bit of weight. It's now about 2 inches longer, but almost the same width and height, while it's lost a few pounds. Now, it's a big car. It's surprisingly big. While it looks normal enough, it is actually bigger than cars like the BMW i4, the Mercedes EQC, the Nissan Ariya, the Mustang Mach-E, and even longer than the ID Buzz. It's also a bit confusing as the old model, the one we can still buy in the UK today and which is still worth buying, there's more on that later, is now available in a long-range model with rear-wheel drive with range of 373 miles, WLTP. The refresh launch model, also available in single-motor rear-wheel drive, has a range of 291 miles. I suspect that although Tesla does not tell us the type, make or size of the battery pack, it's likely to be a good bit smaller, hence the 50 kilogram plus lighter weight. Acceleration for both remains about the same as the Lamborghini Miura, as featured in the Italian Job film, being driven up the Great St Bernard Pass before being bulldozed over the cliff. And that itself was far quicker at the time than the leisurely Aston Martin DB4 that James Bond drove. Really? A brand new 5-seater SUV EV today for less than 50k could see off both Rossano Brazzi in the Lambo and 007 in the DB4? Well, the old dual motor is 331 mile range with the refresh now 344. It's only slightly heavier in weight. There's your efficiency appearing again. The refresh is loaded with even more goodies, but very little heavier. Well, next step is to see what has transferred over from the Model 3 refresh. And in fact, most of it has, and much more besides. We get, first of all, the special acoustic glass, first seen in the Model 3 refresh, that promises a quieter ride, plus more reflective glass. We forget that this is mostly glass with its full-length sunroof and deeply sloped front and rear windscreens. The new glass reflects far more, making it cooler and asking far less of the heat pump on sunny days. Better for that twin theme of efficiency and stellar silence that will reappear throughout this review. The new suspension is also included. Previously, both the 3 and the Y were very firm, edging up towards hard, much like driving a typical older style BMW. The Model Refresh 3 rechanged all that, or should we say transformed that very much for the better, with totally new suspension, and that now is included in the Y Refresh. The 3 Refresh is still on the firm side of soft, but now more like, driving a Citroen. It's just gentler. The Y will be different as it's a taller car and could be anything up to 200 kilograms heavier, but I expect it's going to be smoother and gentler again. It's got new wheels, new tyres, and they complete the comfort and silence for the car on the road. It's amazing the difference these can make. Inside there are totally new seats, now ventilated of course, offering a whole new level of comfort, extending, as the rear seat cushions themselves now actually do, to all seats. Commonplace these days is electronic rear seat lock release. Unexpected is the motorised rear seat lowering, raising and reclining found here on the Y refresh. Very welcome, as is the auto opening of the tailgate as you approach it. It is rare that I approach my car with both hands totally full. Usually I'm just pushing a trolley, but it is a nice feature nonetheless. Missing on the Asian launch version is a powered fruit, or frunk, as they say in the States. That's a front boot or front trunk. That seems a strange omission. Well, tech gets a really big boost with much better comms, much better Bluetooth, much better pretty much all tech hardware. And that extends to the rear display screen for the kids. I say kids, but the spec of that rear screen is probably better than your gaming computer at home. And this is for your kids while you drive. No matter, because when you stop, you've got one just as powerful and twice the size in the front. And you've got more legroom, and you've got better control. So, there. The big talking point is the front stalk. It's back. In the minimalist approach, or money-saving quest, or possibly both, the Model 3 refresh lost all the stalks. The Y, at least as it's launched in Asia, gets the indicator stalk back. Now, before you get too excited, first, many people in the UK have now got used to the haptic indicators on the steering wheel, and they actually rather prefer them. Most people who now complain about them are those that have not yet even driven one, and they've never tried them. It seems they just don't like the idea of them. So there's no absolute guarantee we'll get the stalk. Second, the stalk is only an indicator, literally an indicator. And the initial impression, remember, nobody's actually taken delivery of one of these yet, that won't happen for a while, is that it won't even have a wiper control button on the end. I just suggest you grab what they offer and get used to it. You see, for us oldies, just think back to the first time we got hold of a computer mouse. Yeah, really, it's not that long ago. Like kids today, mostly, they don't even know what a mouse is. Well, structurally, there's some huge significant differences that you will never notice. Like the one front section that used to contain 70 pieces now is made in one piece. This makes it more rigid, quieter, oh, there's that word again, and actually cheaper to make. Also, the body panels have changed, and this really shows first how fast Tesla can change and how much they listen to their customers. You see, common complaint was insurance costs were high. One of the reasons for this is that in simplifying the construction, you make a single component instead of, 15 or 50, because it cuts costs. But it also increases insurance claims, because even the smallest dent in any part of that one's construction will require the whole thing to be replaced at high cost. Tesla looked at the insurance claims, and it's changed some of the body panels from one piece back to multi-piece. Not instantly, but over time, this will lower insurance premiums. By the way, this applies to all cars. This is not EVs. Just have a look at the one-piece colour-matched front bumpers on all cars today. Even a slight crack anywhere in it now requires a complete replacement and a full respray. Constant evolution. Well, outside, I can never get too excited about these full-width light bars. First of all, I'm inside. I can't even see them. Then what do they do other than look pretty? Well, I don't know how much they cost, but I'd personally rather have a convenient container for my packet of Werther's Originals alongside, say, a heated coffee cup holder for when I forget to drink it. That'd be much more use to me than having 16.4 million light combinations on the outside that I personally can never see. Well, the power bits, the battery pack, the motors, etc., they're very little different. Those are constantly evolving anyway. So I didn't expect anything dynamic here. In fact, the charging speed of the basic refresh model has dropped slightly from 250 kilowatt down to 175 kilowatt maximum. It's hardly noticeable. It still offers about 140 mile top up in about 15 minutes. Well, Strange, 140 miles, that's the average mileage for the average UK motorist. So once a week you charge for 15 minutes. That's getting much closer to the 5-minute filler petrol lovers love to tell us. In fact, if you add in the drive to the petrol station, the fill up and the walk back to the kiosk to pay, then the drive home, it's really close. But of course, they will still always quote the 24 hours it will take to get from 0% to 100% plugged into a 13-amp socket. Wonder why? Well, this car was never going to be the blockbuster model that set the world on fire. Don't get me wrong, this will set the world on fire, but only until the next launch. The actual people are still buying the old Model Y in huge numbers, making it by far the best-selling EV in the world to date. The refresh will simply take over and breathe much-needed new life into the EV market. The Model Y refresh will be a better car all round and will attract more people to move into their first EV. It is big, it's packed with goodies, it's economical, and above all, it's cheap. Remember the list of cars it was bigger than? Well, let's see which it is bigger than and cheaper than. Well, assuming the refresh model launches the same price as £47,000 in the UK as the model refresh did, same price. The EQC starts at 65, the Aria 40,000, the Mach-E 51,000 and the ID Buzz 58,000. Well done to the Aria. The Y refresh is big and cheap and high-tech and fast. Let's look at that list again and ask which are bigger, cheaper and faster, and the Aria finally drops out and joins the others. Base models compared, the Y refresh is also the fastest. Add in which can access the largest, fastest and cheapest supercharger network in the world, and the competition just throw up their hands in surrender. I can understand people buying Mercedes or BMW for the prestige or the perceived quality or the style, but I cannot and probably never will understand how anyone could consider spending £50,000 or more and then excluding the Model Y because they think the man who runs the company is a bit of a nutter. Takes all sorts. Well, the Model Y refresh will sell incredibly well. It's unlikely to be the best-selling car in the world in 2025, simply because they're only starting deliveries in late Q1 or early Q2, and then only in China. But 2026 is likely to be a runaway year, and we will witness a true miracle. It will, in my opinion, only be limited by the launch by Tesla themselves of a budget model. Because if that is priced at half the Model Y and has better batteries like solid state by then and massive range like 500 miles and 6 minutes 0 to 100% charging speed, then the Y sales will quickly grind to a halt and the whole world will queue up to get the new budget Tesla. Unless, of course, they also launch the robotaxi and set the fare at 10 pence a mile. Or unless they launch the world's first personal 4-man robocopter for 50,000. Or unless... No, let's stop there. The Model Y refresh is an unusual car. It was the car critics, the car journalists, the car legacy auto experts and the legacy auto old-timers who demanded that, as it was now almost 4 years old, it was so far out of date it was practically ready for the scrap heap. These so-called experts aren't. They seem to be totally oblivious to the fact that the latest of the old Model Ys to leave the Fremont or Austin factories this week had almost zero components or systems or software that were on any of the original cars that were so revolutionary way back when the very first one rolled off the production line 4 years ago. The Model Y, as it is available today, is still a very good buy and could be getting even better. Depending on stock levels, we may be in for a bonanza in the next few months. If it is offered at a bargain price, it's definitely worth a look and a test drive. As a car, the Model Y is currently almost unbeatable in the EV world. If you want the longer range, and many think they do, but actually they don't, the old Y is still a great buy with its 391-mile WLTP range. If you want it better looking, wait. If you want better tech, wait. If you want the full width light bar across the back, then why? I'm Dave. And thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more of our reviews, please subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Big thank you, as always, to our Patreon members. Without you, we wouldn't be able to make as many videos as we do. So thank you to all. And for those who are considering supporting the channel this way, full details of the Patreon membership are down below. There's an awful lot of goodies down there to enjoy. I'm Dave.